Okay guys, we're picking back up where we left off. We'll call this part 2 of the Tundra 5.7 water pump replacement. And we dug in a little further. As we talked about, I covered the radiator. So to protect your hands and to protect the radiator. And then we moved to start getting the serpentine belt out of the way. And with that, let me go turn the light on. Here we go. There is a pulley. We already removed the one on the fan. We talked about how that comes off with putting a screwdriver in between the bolts and wedging that and then putting a wrench on them. And while the serpentine belt is still on, you want to remove the pulley from the water pump. Again, you're going to do the same thing. The pulley is over here. And it sits on a water pump like that. And you get the 4 bolts coming in there, and again the same thing. You just pretty much, you're going to wedge your screwdriver in between there and crack one loose, rotate it, do the next one, rotate it, do the next one, get all 4 of them loose with the belt still on it, and then you could actually go and take the bolts right out of it. I don't like to take one out and then proceed to the next one because you have nothing to support on. All right, enough of that. So that part's done. We got the pulley off, and pulley unbolted rather, and now we're going to take the serpentine belt off. You have an idler pulley. This is your tensioner pulley, spring loaded. You can see how it's moving. What I do is I take a screwdriver, and the belt is coming around the back side of it, I believe. I'm trying to remember which way it came. It's important, not important, but you'll know. Look at my little diagram. It came up over the top of it, like you see here. So it came down from that pulley down there, and it came up over the top. To release the tension of it, I took a screwdriver that was wrapped with duct tape between this pulley and this pulley and kind of pushed it away. You can kind of put a socket on it and do it, but that wasn't going to happen because it kept backing the nut off, so that's why I did not go with that solution. So essentially we take another big old screwdriver and we just wrapped it with duct tape, and what that does, it just protects the grooves on the pulley coming off the, I believe it's the, is that the alternator? Power steering pump over here. You're just protecting that pulley that you're not damaging it. So the serpentine belt is now off and out of your way, and you already drew up ahead of time how that pattern went, which is what you see there. And from there, to get to the pump in this area, you have a lot of hamburgers, so to speak, in your way. So you're going to start digging in on this location. And the first thing that you're going to go do is remove your intake boot. It goes between your throttle body, which has a rag stuffed in it, and your air cleaner assembly. Just take the 2 clamps off and just pull that up out of your way. You don't have to remove it completely. And then you're going to have a sequence of a bunch of hoses and clamps and wiring that kind of is crisscrossing in front of where you're trying to access, which is, you know, this part of the water pump. So you have an assembly here with 2 hoses on it and some hardware, which went to these hoses. You can pull the clamps back and unbolt the hardware, allow it to pull it up out of your way. And then you have a bunch of electrical connectors. All the electrical connectors on the back of them, and you can't access the back of all of them. You're just going to squeeze the tabs together with a pair of pliers, and they'll just pop right out of your way. See, get a close look at those, you can kind of see them. So you squeeze them together, they'll pop back through the holes. So that's the other pieces. You have some heater hoses. There's one there. Your lower radiator support, which goes right into the thermostat housing. You're going to pop that back, all again using those same type of clips. Just grab them with pliers, squeeze them together, and slide them back out of your way. And then there's one fairly tight one that there's not much room going to the thermostat housing. It's a piece of hose, probably, I don't know, 5 inches long, 4 inches long, not even 3 inches long. Pull both clamps off, slide them on the piece of pipe, kind of get them out of your way, and then when you take the thermostat housing off, it'll give you room for that hose to come out of there. So now we're going to go look at that thermostat housing, which is what you see here. That's the thermostat housing and the thermostat. I took these 3 nuts off of it first just to take the thermostat up and out of my way, because you're just trying to make some more room for you to get in there. So that was able to come off. And now you had this assembly sitting in there. That right there is where you could see where that hose, that little short hose was that neck right there. So after that, you have 3 bolts. Those 3 bolts you're going to remove, and that will take this housing out of your way coming up off the water pump. Got it? All right. Now is the water pump. What I like to do is I take the box of whatever it is, whether I'm doing an oil pan, a valve cover, whatever. You can take manifold. I usually take the box that the part came in because it's usually the right size. I set the water pump down on it and I trace it with a marker. And then I just run around while the pump is still sitting on there. I just run around with a drill with a bit in it and just punch a bunch of holes in the cardboard, and it kind of gives you the whole locations of the pump and where it's going to go. So as you take each bolt out of it, you can go and place them in the cardboard box and keep their location. Because if you look at that, there's probably 5 different styles of bolts that are on there, and you kind of want to make sure everything goes back in the same location. And you even have, let me grab the times over here. You even have, 3 of them that are drilled out but aren't used, but those are the 3 from the pump itself that would sit just like that. So for practical purposes, I just leave it right inside this pump housing. So once they all came out, you just tapped on the pump a little bit, and the whole pump popped out of its location. I'm going to try and stick the camera down in there. Bear with me. And you can kind of see where that pump was. And you can see all the material that was coming out of it. Right down the motor. Let's see, get the camera out. Okay. So that got the pump out. Here's the old gasket. There's no sealing on that gasket whatsoever. It uses like this, it's almost like a rubber impregnated gasket material, and it's riveted to it so it doesn't slip or come off. There's a rivet right there and a rivet right there, and that's also on both sides. So you're just going to go clean that surface up. I am going to try to use some brake clean on that, try to break up some of that hardened pink material, and see if we can get ourselves nice and pretty. One thing I noticed on this car, this is the first time I've done a water pump on a 5.7. I've done plenty of water pumps, but just not in this assembly, is the tensioner pulley actually comes right out. Whether it's supposed to do that or not, I'm not sure. I would think that they would actually put like a bolt in the center of that with a washer to help retain that. But the other thought of it is if it's under tension, it's not going to fall out anyway. But I'm not quite sure if that's supposed to be like that or if something actually did fail on that. I'll show you what it looks like inside. You can kind of see right there. The inside of it, that looks like it probably had some kind of, right there, had something on it, retaining it. Not sure. I tried to locate one at the local parts store. It's not available through your regular auto parts store, so that would end up being a dealer type item only. So we are going to put it back together the way it is and hope for the best and tell the owner that may be an issue. So, okay, so that's where we are. We're going to start cleaning some stuff up and get ready to put the new pump on and have at her. All right, again, thanks for watching, and stay tuned for part 3. Take care.